Good afternoon, our dear esteemed viewers. Welcome back to this week's Inter-University Interface. Joining me this week is a very powerful panel of distinguished ladies and gentlemen from institutions such as Chambogo University, Makerere University, and Uganda Christian University. Tonight's topic is one that has spurred a lot of debate across our country, FDC saga. Now, tonight we are going to have students' perspective and delve into the future of political parties as well in this country. So joining me tonight in this discussion, I'm going to just begin right away from here. Introduce yourself and let the viewers know. You can just say hello to the viewers and let them know about yourself.
Hello everyone. My name is Patricia Pisejang and I'm a law student from Makerere University. I'm glad to be here. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Patricia. We're very happy to have you here and we're looking forward to having a wonderful conversation. I read your bio and you're a writer, you're a poet. Possibly you'd give us some, some nice words as well. Thank you very much, and we're very happy to have you in the space. Next to Patricia is a gentleman who is appearing on the show for the first time. Brilliant young man from Uganda Christian University. You're most welcome.
Thank you very much. My name is Henry Raymond Kalunji. I'm a law student at Uganda Christian University. I'm very glad to be here.
Well, it looks like the panel only has lawyers, but we shall see. We have a biomedical engineer with us here who speaks a lot of politics and very witty as well. But next to Kalunji Raymond, we have a lady who is known for her works. Well, Soki, please introduce yourself.
Hi everyone. My name is Hilda Soki, a law student from Makerere University and an entrepreneur.
Definitely an entrepreneur. You should get yourself a bit spoken with Soki, right?
Yes.
Yeah, last but not least, the gentleman himself.
Yes, thank you very much, our moderator. My name is Masawi Ivan. I'm a biomedical engineering student and also an entrepreneur in my free time. Thanks a lot to Civic Space TV for giving us a chance as Chambogo University to always have such spaces and platform to always be engaged. Yes, thanks.
Thank you. I'll start with you, Masawi. You are a renowned and proud member of the Forum for Democratic Change Party, FDC. And to give this debate life and context, kindly give us a brief historical background of the FDC and the role it plays in our politics today.
Yes, thank you, moderator. The FDC that was formed after the reform agenda in the early 2000s, the real cause of the FDC as a party, like any political party, it is an instrument that helps you rule over the people. They were interested in ruling over Ugandans, not only FDC members, but even other people like UPC. That is why it was formed as a party. The founding members then, the chairman now, Waswabirigwa, Dr. Kiza Byesije, General Mugisha Muntu, the Honorable Nandala Mafabi, and the group. These were people who had worked in government. Dr. Kiza Byesije had been a minister of internal affairs in the government. General Mugisha Muntu was heading a division in the government, a military battalion. Ambassador Waswabirigwa was an ambassador in Japan. The rest, like Nandala Mafabi, was a senior principal at the Uganda Revenue Authority.
Yeah.
So these are people who felt dissatisfied and came up with an instrument. Objectively, their mission was to take over power and also rule over the people, because that is the reason of a party.
Yeah.
But now, coming over years, they have faced difficulties in achieving the agenda or the sole objective of the Forum Democratic Change, as it should be. That first, the systems that they had to, or barriers that they had to pass through to achieve that, they have failed on some of the barriers. Even where they have gone past the barriers, because power is felt, power, you be in is control. Just like any democratic space, the Colonel Muammar Gaddafi wrote a green book before 2011 when he was attacked. That shows the problem to the solution of democracy is the authority of the people. Over time, people have wanted to be the ones in terms of authority, but the structure of democracy in party system is such a way that authority is held by a few and majority of members, because the few carry the mission and vision and the sole objective, and you, the members, you come to attach yourself to fulfilling. And I think is where, just like any political party, FDC has come, whenever there is a transition of power from a set of, an administration to another, there has been those misagreements in 2017 to 18. Major General Mugisha Muntu ran for an election for party president. Actually in 2012, going back, preamble, 2012 there was a party election between Major General Mugisha Muntu and Andala Mafabi. General Mugisha Muntu won the election. By then, Honorable Nandala Mafabi felt dissatisfied but remained as a member. It came to 2018, there was still an election that took place where the Honorable Patrick Amriatoboy, who was being sponsored or led by Dr. Kiza Vieside, came into an election from nowhere and beat someone whom we all thought maybe deserved the seat, the Honorable Patrick Amriatoboy. The way politics is, you play by the rules and you fulfill what is required to win. Yeah. Not that because the other one is intellectual, because he looks godly, godliness doesn't apply. It is the game once you play by the rules. So we came into a transition which brought a little bigger division the party had never experienced. So it gave birth to other parties, like the Alliance for National Transformation, mobilizers and NEC members like the Honorable Ali Salaso, Paul Mwiru, the Honorable Abdu Kaptuntu, who was the legal head of legal affairs at the Forum Democratic Change, and others, Honorable Kashano Wadri, part ways because they believed that, not that the election was not fair, but their candidate had been, they never believed in someone. You know, when you're in a party, you need to groom, and have a transition. For them, their idea then was that General Mugisha Muntu was far a better candidate for party president than the Patrick Amriat, who is the current president. We went through that transition with the division that came. We have come to another election, whereby, according to the constitution of FDC, an election should be now on, which has been organized by the current Secretary General. But one issue after the 2018 that causes the current ruckus, they are developed two administrative centers. That there was an administrative center at Katonga that said, since we had failed to win President Museveni by ballot, let's use activism. Then there are those who are captured in the rules of society. That is through a political party that you achieve what? Power. So the conflict of interest developed because once you have two command centers of power, it means there will always be conflict. Because each one will want to impress, I'm working more for liberation, I'm working more to bring the change we promised. So that it came to 2019, the founder member, Dr. Kiza Vieside, four-time presidential candidate, said he's withdrawing his candidacy from the FDC. FDC went into a dilemma, just like he stated in one of the press conferences. Yeah. So in a blink of an eye, they had to look for a candidate. Most people whom he had thought had groomed, given the fact that he had sold their mindsets that he's the permanent candidate, and internally the party was not growing in terms of democracy and in terms of transition, but they had also adopted the spirit of the people they are fighting, that it is all about this person, Tavakumein. That is the spirit that they adopted of Tavakumein. So they get a challenge, that's one of the biggest challenge. You have no candidate, but the party president decides to offer himself to compete with the party chairman for flag bearer. The election ended in favor of the Honorable Patrick Amriatoboy. This is a former MP in Kumi, who emerged, who is the current party president. He emerged as the flag bearer. Then since it was still in a short while, there were sister negotiations with other opposition parties that took place, as Dr. Kiza Vieside told in Nambole and the likes, to see how you harmonize and have one candidate from the opposition. But there came misunderstandings when it came to stake. What stake do we have? Because you're fronting candidates, both of you, but you want to tell us you have one, what? person at the top. Is where the Honorable Nandala never agreed with them and decided to force Patrick Amuriat Oboy to come for presidency because there was no consensus when it comes to lower levels, parliamentary seats. How shall we handle that affair? If we have one candidate, but we have MPs from different political parties competing to attach to the same candidate, it leaves you vulnerable. So it gave birth to the current challenges. That division sparked off from there. Those who believed in the older father and those who believed in the elder son. Because any party today finances are key because the party you employ people we need to serve. So when you hear accusations led by the spokesperson that maybe the Honorable Nanda received the money, and then you hear him saying, we even went and bought a van together and he gave me receipts. It is not that it is fueled by the intentions that they received the money. There is a political process in FDC which is on now to get a new neck, to get even us in the youth feeling to get a new national youth wing executive, to get a new party chairman and a new party president. So whatever is fueling FDC now is because politics has temperatures and the temperatures have risen. If there is any evidence about the money, we even had the Honorable Munyagwa say his Nandala sent 500 million to Kiza. Yesterday received 300, returned to Nandala in installment. Anyone who knows the Honorable Nandala Mafar can't be bribed 500 million. If you know him at a personal level, maybe it was a balance. But the Nandala we know, especially us who have seen him over years. But it is because there is a political climate, according to their constitution, by now they should be having a new administratives. So the power is it Katonga or Najana Nkumbi? Okay. And yet the Katonga boys, them lean to a political father. The Najana Nkumbi lean to the party whip tools of power. So is where the conflict arises.
Good. You give a very quite elaborate history. And we see from your speech that this particular conflict or this particular saga has been brewing. And the fact that it has been brewing, it was imminent that, you know, the food eventually had to get ready. And then we see the results a few weeks back, actually a week ago. Now this makes me invite Peace. Peace, when you listen to the submissions of the FDC boy here, the FDC young man,
They have.
you get to see that the challenges have been coming. And it's not like FDC is the only party that has been facing this. But tonight we want to put the spotlight on FDC, but we shall look at other political parties.
With you, PC, they take the whole party.
The issue here, from what I pick, finances, monetized politics. An issue that has greatly impacted political parties in this country. Speak to that matter.
Thank you. I think, like you said, it's not just an issue that is affecting FDC. It's affecting every opposition political party that we have in Uganda.
Even the government.
Others have had their fair share of the drama coming out into the media and into the society. Others have probably kept it well. Others died a slow death. But it comes down to the goals that they set at the beginning of every party. And I might be speaking from an ideal point of view, but if a political party is coming up and their only goal as that particular political party is to not liberate, I wouldn't want to say liberate, is to have a presidential seat occupied by someone from their party. And then that doesn't happen the first time. It doesn't happen the second time. After 4 or 5 elections, it hasn't happened. It's going to be very easy for that particular political party to crumble if that was their only goal. Now, the process of liberalization of people, making a country better, bringing about democracy, bringing about an FDC's Forum for democratic change, bringing about that democratic change, it required a vision way better than just, or bigger than just putting someone in the presidential seat. Yes, that might have been the end goal. That might have been the icing on the cake. But you have MPs.
They have been there.
Who are under that particular political party. Which vision have you sold to them? You have candidates within institutions at the university level running for guild president under that particular party. You have units, you have chapters everywhere that has people who have subscribed to it. You have a whole community of people belonging to that political party.
Yeah.
If the only vision that particular political party has is to become president someday, and that does not happen several times after several attempts, that party is going to crumble, because people are then going to switch interests. Okay, we are not achieving what we were meant to achieve, but what can I get out of this? So now the accusations start. Someone received money, someone didn't receive money, someone wants to run this individually, another one doesn't want. Oh, but we still want to get the president. It becomes very funny. It actually hinders even the work of the MPs who belong to such political parties, because you haven't given them a vision or purposes beyond getting a president, beyond power. You haven't looked at possibilities of actualizing democratic change beyond putting someone in that one seat. I think that is the biggest challenge that we have in as far as opposition is concerned.
Okay, fair enough. Kalunji, then I get to Soki. When you listen to the submissions of peace, you get the idea that not only as FDC has faced this challenge, but generally our political parties in this country, the opposition, have this idea of our energy is focused on removing the so-called dictator. And they focus all the energies on that one thing and neglect the idea of having a vision, having an ideology imparted into the other wings that could possibly brew and make a better Uganda. Do you think that is the problem? Or do you think the issue here is we remove the dictator and everything else will be solved?
Now, first of all, I would like to make this statement. All dreams in Uganda are valid, apart from becoming president. Now, when we are to talk about multi-party democracy in a country like Uganda, we have to consider some things. Which country are we comparing our democracy to? That is the first question. Then the second question is, how old is multi-party democracy in Uganda? So when you look at those tenets, realize that multi-party democracy in our country does not make 30 years.
19 years.
It is 19 years. So if your multi-party democracy is 19 years, what then? First of all, how did multi-party democracy come up to be in Uganda? Multi-party democracy in its essence started after a disagreement with one political party. It gained momentum when members of NRM disagreed and someone formed FDC, then another remained in NRM, then the traditional opposition parties came in place. So what do you get in that point? The first point is we have to realize what is Uganda's problem. With politics, unlike other opinions that say politics is getting power, politics is resource ownership, allocation, and distribution. So in those tenets, you realize that, okay, it is resource ownership and distribution. You realize what is the major hindrance to resource allocation and distribution. If you're to go today and you sit in a taxi and you start picking your mind on some people, you will hear that each and every person will have a disagreement, and they will show that they are dissatisfied with a certain section of Ugandans, even though they may not be the actual ones that are doing that. So what do you get? You get a way where people want to just remove the entire establishment. Now it takes us to the first point I started with, of all dreams being valid. Now at that point, people want to remove the president, but they can practically not remove the president, right? Okay, if all was well and we go for an election, can the president go away with an election? No, the president can't. Then what else do we get? We talk about monetization of politics, we talk about money in politics and what. But do you know that in Uganda, political monetization is so cheap if we are to compare it with the other areas, if we are the other great democracies? If you see the money we spend in our politics and you look at a state in USA that is the size of Uganda, our money is quite too little. Why? Even when we monetize our politics, we monetize it by buying bread for the voters.
At the low stake.
At the low stake.
1,000.
We monetize our politics by giving 2,000 to people that are outside the money economy.
But if you see, that is the reality, because the citizenry that you're trying
I
to buy
think-
are in that stage.
It
Yes.
is a
Now,
reality, just
I
that
was,
they are too cheap.
I was getting to some point. I don't want to call them cheap. Our government and establishment has intentionally maintained people in that stage. So in other countries where is their monetization of politics way more expensive than us, for them they'll monetize their politics by putting up infrastructure that helps their people, by building good schools, by building good hospitals. That's monetization. How do we monetize ours? By giving 200 million to one person, by giving 2,000 to villagers. So with that, the politics is we maintain our people at a stage of ignorance, then we rule them. And this establishment helps both the opposition and the government, because both opposition and government do this. Now, at that extent, when we are having both the government and opposition doing this, it means that the least member of society continues to suffer. Now, at that point,
Which are the majority?
which are the majority? The other point, opposition parties directly get money from the government through the Electoral Commission, because they are a government entity, they are supposed to be
iPod.
given money. iPod, they give them money. So some people, there is some gentleman, as I was having my guild presidential race, I talked to some friend of mine. He told me that our struggle is spoilt nowadays. Why? People struggle not because they want change, but people struggle because they want a picture. If they take a picture of you when you're fighting with a policeman, right? That is already chigati in the new saying. There you go to another political party, tell them I'm an activist. You have evidence. Now, when you're an activist, there will be events that they call activists for. When they call you, they give you money. So it's a
You're
business.
trying to shine.
So
Go for
it's a
lunch.
gig. It's a gig. So that is the problem we have. We need an entire mindset change and mindset shift to get done with these two problems that we're having.
Okay. Soki, listening to Kalunji, he brings in the dire impacts of what we're facing with our politics in this country today. But before we go into so much into the nitty-gritties of what must be done to better the future, I want us to first look at the current impact. He brings out clearly the aspect of monetization and how it has eaten up the system, both opposition and government. I just wanted to focus on the impact of the recent FDC saga. Yeah, give us the impact and what it holds for the future of this country.
Okay, from following up on the news, because I'm not so much I don't align with any political party, but currently the FDC saga is really
But you should.
trending.
Civic
okay?
responsibility.
Exactly. So, if I focus on the fact that there is monetization of politics in regards to the FDC saga right now,
Political entrepreneurship.
it's because the impact is it's very negative, and it's downplaying or degrading certain people's reputations in our eyes, because we're looking at, so this is how low or this is how cheap this person is to the society. And also, I would like to say that the FDC saga has just been brought out in the light, but this is something that has actually maybe happened for about more than 3 years. And it's in 2023 that we're getting news that someone had received 7 billion, and then there are remarks from some of these party leaders saying, you ignored me during my campaign. Why don't you think I should get funds from another person? Okay, I have someone funding me, but they do not want to be disclosed. They want the confidentiality. Okay, for now, currently, we are going to pinpoint the particular person that is Museveni, and that's NRM, as to be the source of all that money, because it's a very huge and ridiculous amount that someone will definitely point to the president. Okay, now that we're having such an issue at hand, that true actually need funds to run any campaign, from the lowest, from you being a prefect, you need funds, to the highest level of you being guild president. It's worse. But all I can say is that the FDC saga has actually shed more light on, you know what, when we're going in for politics, this is what is at hand, this is how much you're going to incur, who are the supporters, okay? And it has also brought the party to divide itself, just like Masawi said. Yeah, we're having the Zans of who are Besigye diehards will go to his office. Is it in Katonga? And then you are having others who are in Nanja Nankumbi. Yeah, and then we're having the spokesperson. He's very bitter about all this because he's talking about, if you do not know the vision and the goals as to why you're in FDC, meaning you're losing out on our dream, you're downplaying the party. And because I like to quote from Semuju, he sees FDC going down in terms of the representation of the number of members in parliament. They were around 35%, and then we are having Anoop with with around 50% representation. So we've always seen for the past 20 years that FDC has been one of the strongest, 19 years since its inception, that it has been one of the most.
FDC began 2005 December.
Around 19,
18
years as one of the strongest political parties and also a strong opposition in government. So the NRM, or let me say the state, the government has always seen as FDC as being, this is the one person that is putting a barrier for me to actually reach my goal, maybe to reach 100%. All I can say in totality of what I've said is that the FDC saga has actually shed more light, has brought out and exposed what money can do. Yeah, what money can do, what power can do. That you might have your principles and all this, but then we shall always say money is the root of evil. But as well as you have to put your principles and your morals at the forefront. You need the money, yes, but you have people that you're going to represent.
Yeah.
You need people who require better services. You have people you share a similar dream with, a similar goal and vision with.
All right. Masawi,
Yes.
the argument raised by Peace, Kalunji, and then Soki clearly brings out monetization. And that is something I'm still interested in. But let's first go back to what happened. Remember the chairman of Forum for Democratic Change when he had to jump over the fence at the office in Najanankumbi. And you saw the brutality that happened. Some young cadres of the party beating up journalists outside of the FDC headquarters. This is the same party that goes ahead and condemns the government on police brutality. And we have the supporters of the party executing the same, beating people. That is one. Two, arguments have been raised on the aspect of a mall. If I watch the video of Major General Mugisha Muntu talking about time, time is a friend of everybody. Yeah. Remember when they accused Mugisha Muntu as a mall in the Forum for Democratic Party Change? He left the party and he formed his aunt. And right now, the allegations of a mall. I want to address two things. One, this is a party that condemns the current government on the aspects of police brutality, but have cadres who go ahead and brutalize people. Two, on the issue of a mall, which stems from monetization of politics.
Yes, thank you very much, moderator. In 2016, apart from my national ID and the academic documents, the only other document I was proud of was my FDC party card that I had just received as a young man. I always kept it very far, more than even my senior for pass slip, because it meant a lot. It was high stake. Coming back to where you started from, maybe I can tell you there is a deep state even within opposition. There is opposition. Whatever was portrayed last week about FDC was all directed to bring the Nandala Amriat administration down. That Najanankumbi down is Katonga up. I want to tell you that there is no one who looked the chairman will go inside. But it is just that common sense to us who play politics that will create sympathy and portray the other ones wrong elements. Who can allow you just jump a fence, then move, enter a car, they drive here? Is that a capture? Someone, even journalists who are busy photographing, making phone calls. Who lives with a phone when you've been captured? It is just common sense of playing around to portray the other ones evil. And is why I told you there is a political process according to the FDC constitution that should be going on. And the part Nandala Mafavi is vying for to remain, The Semuju is vying to remain. Lukwago, a new person, a vice chairperson for Uganda, here is also running for party presidents. So this is politics. I want to tell you, let's first, at least I see GRCs and they give the president. At least you know the games of politics. When tempos hit,
Yes, please.
you need to play the politics. And I want to be very clear that if there is an issue of money in FDC, I will just request the Honorable Semuju to save Uganda and prove evidence. Because once you bring it as an allegation, but you say we bought the van together, you are aware of how Nandala sent money to Jesse, and you also said I received 300 million. I returned it in installments. What? Then where do I? It shows there is something beyond what even they are discussing. But I want to be very open as a young. Even I've seen even at as low as the youth wing, there is a Katonga wing and a Nadia Nankumbi wing. The Katonga wing of the youth sat to say that it is not happy with how the current Nadia Nankumbi administration is treating Dr. Kizza Besigye. How should they treat an individual? I fail to understand. Who is at his home in his own compound and who is a retired? Because he says he was no longer interested. How should they treat an activist who is working at his own liberty, not under control of a party constitution or party tools? So whatever is there is because of it was downplay, and maybe it is only bad that when you're acting some movies, don't go to a movie of beat. Even if the journalist was part of the movie, don't use it for purpose. It is a degrading image to the whole political landmark of Uganda's politics. Is why I told you our politics has been growing, but we have not audited its growth, whether it is growing really as it should have grown compared to our regional neighbors that we should benchmark ourselves to. Our growth has been dangerous. When you find the oldest political party, UPC, diminishing, that a party president of UPC fights with the chairman of the Electoral Commission, NRM, in a primary. You find DP is busy in weddings. It weddings in Kampala, it weddings in Gulu. Then you hear FDC, internal process alone is causing division. Internally, not how conflict shows your capacity when it comes to conflict resolution. Is still wanting. Us who are typical FDC members, we are ashamed because it has checked us. We have been checked. That how do you handle conflict resolution? Did it mean that even if it was true Nandala and Amriat had got money, it means there is need to create a new political party? Is this party empowered when it comes to constitutions, to its constitution, that such members should be punished, should resign? I have not heard anyone saying let them resign, let them step down, or let's take them to court, because this is you can take someone to court if you have the evidence. I have not heard anything apart from publicity, well, apart from campaigning, because me I have considered them campaigns. Campaigns are on. I want to hear someone saying, basing on the FDC constitution, if you're under investigation, this and this, you're supposed to resign. Why hasn't Nandala resigned? Osemuju should resign because he is doing now parallel activities as a spokesperson, parallel activities to the party's position. But because they are all playing politics, they are attacking themselves to gain favor of the members. Us who will be at the delegates conference and say, I'm for Lukwago. Simple as that.
Sure.
But when a country has been jeopardized the way current regime has done, these are some of. We cannot blame Dr. Kizza Besigye, we cannot blame Major, because these are the people who went with Museveni to the bush. They are fully responsible for Museveni stay here. The first person in FDC to Kane is Dr. Kizza Besigye. They escorted him to the bush. They are the cause of the money stay here. But we can't blame them because we have also failed to learn. So it disturbs my understanding that social media has promoted very many young people to know politics but not to understand. A lot of them will hear, nenupu jeri, nenupu bano ndaba member baya abamu balya sente za muhozi. But it has promoted people to know about something but not understand it. So I want to tell you that where this whole scenario leaves our politics, it challenges us, the young generation. We need to do better. Because
on that point, let me just end you there and engage Kalunji. Kalunji, young people need to do better. He says, the young people earlier only left the issue of police brutality, but I know you'll address it.
It is the movie. It is the movie.
You mentioned people get involved in demonstrations.
Movies, so
people get involved in demonstrations that they get photo moments.
Yes.
So that they use it to get what? Resources or money for their own gigs. This is something because young people at the moment are looking for bread, just survival for today, and that's it. That's what young people are looking for.
Yes.
In my opinion, I think that is a problem that has been created by the system, which has to be solved. Now, my question to you is, politics in this country has rather been focused on individuals instead of instead of delivering social services. Do you think it's high time that possibly Uganda has failed to deliver on democracy or multi-party system and maybe came up with or went back to the movement system?
Thank you very much. So first and foremost, we have three problems. First, individualism in politics. We create individuals. We create Museveni, we create Besigye, we create Mr. Bobi Wine, we create Nandala, we create Muntu, we create Semuju. That is the first stance.
Not FDC, but we create.
Then the second part that happens is that we go to populism. Then we create populism. So populism, the system that we run in, the current electoral system, is that the person that is most popular is the one that takes the political position, right?
Weak as it may be.
Weak as they may be, whether they have the brains, I'm sorry to use such a word, but weak as they may be, they are the ones who promote populism. Now, what facilitates populism is the facilitator of populism is the majority of the people. So we look at our people, right? Are our people empowered to engage in populism, right? Do our people have the education to engage in this populism? Do our people know what a government is? Do our people know what a government should do?
The civic education is lacking.
Do our people know what a government must do? The ideal situation. So in our country, we have a country whereby majority of the people are young, right?
70%.
Now, 70%. But in that 70%, if right now you woke up in the morning and gathered all Ugandan graduates and took them to Nambole Stadium, you cannot fill 4 Nambole stadiums. You can't. People that have graduated with a degree, you can't fill 4 Nambole stadiums. So what does that mean? And most of these things are taught in school. So to teach people about their history, it is done in school. To teach people about what politics should be, it's done in school. Majority of the people have not gone to school. People, if you go to, let me say, the Bukedisa sub-region, young boys and girls are in rice. You go to Busoga, people study for a short time, then they leave, they do other things. You come here to Buganda, our young boys are in border business. Border, bricks, blah, blah. People are doing things that do not concern this other part. Now what happens? Those people, if they are to go and vote, they will vote their fellow border people, right? They will vote their fellow people that be in rice. They will vote their people that they know. They will not consider the other thing. So these people, what excites them? We look at the FDC saga. What excites a Ugandan? What excites a Ugandan is violence.
Division.
What excites a Ugandan is chaos. So if you're to watch that NBS, their most watched show was that because people were fighting.
NBS,
in the history of NBS,
show has hit record figures.
Yes, it was the most watched. Why? Because people want to see chaos. Now, the media, where the majority of the people's eyes should be, is not focusing on substance. It is focusing on noise. Yeah. So that if now, not to glorify violence, but if you're to look at the young lady that was beaten, the media will go where they think they'll be beaten so that they get a story, right? The media will go where they think there is going to be chaos.
In my defense.
So that they get that story.
In the defense of people who do journalism.
But who would beat someone
they are supposed to
press
report.
Conference which is not taking
No, the thing is, the spirit of journalism is you are supposed to give the story irrespective of where the circumstances are.
But you give that story according to the demands of the people because you want views.
Stories must be told.
I still
you understand.
Waste your energy. That was a movie.
Either way, so at that point, that is the system we are having. So Me, I think the entire idea of populism, we should do away with it. Unlike other people that say democracy, democracy, there are very many ways to have democracy. Democracy is simply majority of the people entrusting one person with their vote, right? But then, if this majority of the people fails to that obligation, must the state fail, must our country go into chaos, right? If democracy necessitated that we have a genocide, everyone votes that let's have a genocide. Must we all just say because people have decided we have a genocide, let's have a genocide? Or we have to sit down and get what is best for our country, and that goes, and we get done with that. However, if we keep with the populism, individualism, okay, in this system, I do not disagree with Mr. Bobi Wine. I support him very well. But if Mr. Bobi Wine became president of Uganda, and we have this narrative of Chagulanyi doesn't make a mistake, Chagulanyi doesn't do what, do you know that there we groom another dictator?
Yeah.
Or if Semujunganda became a president of Uganda, and we still have this mentality of he's always right, won't we have another dictator?
He's a critic.
So, and the other part, the last part, the last point is that, yes, it is shameful that what is happening at FDC, but it also gives me more confidence. Because if a political party, if such even the smallest of things comes out to light, it means that it's a self-accounting political party. It is transparent, unlike other political parties where they do things and keep quiet. So it gives me more confidence to believe in the ideals of Forum for Democratic Change. Why? Because they do not allow anything small slide. They demand accountability.
You have outwardly declared your allegiance to the party.
I am receiving your name after the show.
I've been a member of FDC even before this show. So
it's all right.
So that is actually a very good thing.
It's okay.
Yes.
Let me have Patricia, then I have Soki again.
FDC members, when we speak, you identify.
No, it's to see. The issue here is, Patricia, in her argument, said, the challenge that we're facing at the moment is something that has been embedded in the system. Yeah? You identify the issue, the foundation has been very weak. He identifies the aspect of individualism. You identify the aspect of populism.
The mission,
But then Patricia argued that, you see, political parties should be formed on ideas, just not on the idea of removing a dictator. That's all. That means if you have cadres like Kalunji Soki and my brother Masawi, we know that the idea is just not on removing the dictator, but rather the idea should be on forming a country that has democratic systems. Patricia, I want to engage you on this point. You were the 88th GRC at Makerere University.
Yes.
On the argument of populism and individualism, I think that is something that has gotten into institutions at the moment. People in universities, you expect in institutions where ideologies are formed, people are rather voting because this person has bought me this, or this person is known for this, not on the basis of ideologies. Submit on that matter.
We should both submit on that.
Yeah, you too.
I like to say this, and I think we can all agree that our national politics
Has informed the
is
institution.
reflected, or no, let me rephrase that. The politics of institutions, and I speak for Makerere University, the politics, so absolutely each and everything that happens in Makerere University is a reflection of the national politics. If we are going to vote someone because they are loud at the national level, that's going to happen at the Makerere University level. If we are going to vote someone because they have a cool song that is trending, that's going to happen at Makerere University. If we are going to vote someone because they do good,
starts at Makerere,
Then it
vote someone
national
because they
level.
do PR. Like if we had a figure like Semujunganda, and then he comes, someone, a student like that, and he ran for guild president, believe you me, he was going to
how
be
Mbide
elected.
came to light.
We saw it during the Bossa season because prior to running for guild president, he is very outspoken and he questions the system and he criticizes the system, and so everyone was going to vote Bossa if he had made it to the ballot. And this speaks to the great need that we have to change the system, to change the mindsets, like Kalunji said, because we cannot have people voting someone because they have a cool nickname.
Yeah.
We cannot have
We need to
students who are in the university studying serious courses, tomorrow's future sector leaders, tomorrow's future doctors, engineers, lawyers, social
Human
workers,
resource.
whatnot, human resource, people who are doing political science, and they're voting someone because the song is catchy, or because they've been given 50K, or because they've been taken to restaurants in Chikumi, or because they hate another political party. People don't vote at institutions based on principles, based on ideologies, based on, oh, this is my plan. I have a 5-step plan. If I woke up tomorrow and as the guild president, this is what I'll do. People don't do that. Even at the national politics. When have we ever sat people down and we're like, okay, Chagulanye, what exactly are you going to do if you
Don't-
want us to
Don't you say Mr. Museveni.
I mean, no, for him he can structure his manifesto and
He
they make
can
those
say, I'm
nice
going to do the
graphics.
same of the other year.
Exactly.
But when have we ever questioned our opposition leaders who come and say, we are going to remove a dictator? Okay, if
You
Mr.
remove the
Bobby Wine, if
dictator,
you woke up
what
tomorrow
else?
and you are the president of Uganda, what would you do? What would you do about the tax concerns? What would you do about exportation? What will you do about agriculture?
What should you do about
What will
health?
you do about roads?
Hmm.
People in Uganda, you don't need a plan. You
All
don't
you
need,
need-
you don't need a
You just have
manifesto.
to trend.
Get a catchy rhythm, get a song,
Influencers.
Get a
And
nice
we're in the
hashtag.
era of social media.
trend,
All that.
be nice, fight, do the power sign, and you're good to go.
That's
And it's
It's
embarrassing,
okay.
but yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Quickly, you currently you're GRC, and you also ran for office. Was it the same? Did people vote ideology or people voted popular student?
I would say
The
this. I
guy
would
was
say
trending.
no. For me, for my
You
case,
beg
I would
voters.
not say people voted me out of being popular. Yes, I was popular and I'm still popular. But people have tested my leadership. Okay?
Even me, I'm at Chambogo, but I've tested.
People have tested my leadership. Yeah, I've been class president since year one, and trust me, someone is going to get out of university and still remember that I actually helped them track a result. Actually, I did this for law school, or I did this for an individual. Sometimes when it comes to the part of being popular, I think people should divert more to voting for service
Servant
ideas as
leadership.
well. But then someone might have all these manifestos, have all these ideas pointed out, but when it comes to breaking them down, or actually we want
Implementation.
accountability, implementing them, where are the results? Okay. Sometimes people are voted for being popular, yes, but some people are popular and worth the ticket. Others are going to be voted for the ideas, and the end result is not as we expected with what they portrayed. Yeah, it all zeroes down to an individual. Why do you want to be a leader? Why are you positioning yourself at an institution? What change do you want to bring in there? Do you want to see the institution grow? Do you want us to feel your impact? Because at the end of it all, they will be like, Soki, what did she do? You get? But then we have leaders that we met way back and others that have spent like 10 years without being physically present, but we still have word going around about what they did. So it all zeroes down to the kinds of leaders that we are becoming, the ones that we are mentoring, the ones that we are growing to be. So I would say that for Makerere University particularly, that let's grow up. Let's go. Let's move past a statement
School of Law has
plus
passed.
a slogan. Let's grow and leave that aside. Let's have ideas. Let's see our university out there,
Yeah.
and it zeroes down to each and everyone that be the Ugandan that you want. Be a Ugandan and also live in the Uganda that you want people to reflect about, to care about. Because if you're caring for this person, let the care come back.
Okay.
Let's have service delivery
All right.
and be servant leaders.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Soki. This half of the show has been very, very hot. And I'm still coming back to the aspect of institutions, and then we go ahead to explore the challenges and maybe way forward as young people here had a very wonderful discussion. So as I've had it done there, it has been the first half of the show. We are talking about FDC saga, students' perspective. So stay with us as we go for a short break. We'll be back. Thank you.
Digital rights are those human rights and legal rights that allow individuals to access, use, create, and publish digital media or to access and use computers, other electronic devices, and telecommunication networks. Digital rights include a right to freedom of expression, information and communication through technology, a right to privacy and data protection, a right to credit for personal works, a right to universal and equal digital access, a right to identity, a right to anonymity, a right to be forgotten, and a right for protection of minors, among others. The state's digital rights are frequently violated through various unfair actions, for example, blockage of websites and social networks, theft of credentials, unauthorized use of people's data for personal gain, privacy intrusion, online censorship, arrests and intimidation of online users, internet blockages, and the proliferation of laws and regulations that undermine the potential of technology to drive social, economic, and political development worldwide. It is hence every citizen's responsibility to respect rights of other digital users and to speak out or report to the responsible parties when one's rights are violated.
Thank you very much and welcome back from that break. As we are having the break, there's a very interesting story moving on in studio with my panelists. That's in Makerere, if you want to win an election, you must have a touching story that definitely gets to everyone. Is that how much petty our politics has become? It's very okay to have a touching story, and it's also okay to come from a humble background. But if you come from a humble background, you must offer substance. You must offer something for people to believe in. You must offer changes to the system. Do these leaders do so? Now that's a question. I leave to you, Masawi.
I
Give us your
believe in
touching
humble
story.
background should
Give us
prevail.
that touching one.
It is not only in Makerere, even in presidential elections, it is a department in politics that people vote. Some of the tools that people used to vote, also sympathy or creating a story is one of some voters use that to assess who has a story or who connects with what I connect with or who really needs. So having a story in life, even for a job interview, sometimes it can win you the job because you have a track of where you're coming from. It is a good thing because you need to use that story to account. Sometimes the story itself is accountability. How have you got here? What do you portray? I have also had time to if I joined the People Power Movement, the time Dr. Kizza Besigye wasn't running for president, when we were not sure of our story. But in that time, I worked with a lot of people out there, and you would really see that telling a story matters. It may be looked, it has been degraded to a factor of creating sympathy, but it should not be about creating sympathy and lies, because it should be more of inspiration. You should tell that story to a kid outside there who will, they have sold him cassava in the newspaper and reads the story. Onen from Guru to law president. Onen is now going to maybe for Uganda Law Society. That boy to pick a story to pursue being a lawyer and also be a president of the Uganda Law Society. But not for decoration or fashion. Stories are real. Coming back to the story of FDC. FDC doesn't believe in stories because you need to just have a background that is traceable. Because in a political party in Uganda, you only need to be 18 years and be a party member by card. They don't need your story. You show us what your capability. That is the advantage. But I think, given that today was a day to discuss FDC, it will be unfair to discuss FDC without discussing, because these parties are facing the similar challenge, are all facing equally similar challenges. The only advantage with the ruling party is that it is using state resources to polish where they are having weakness, where they are having challenges. They use state resources. They will justify the need for RDCs, DSOs, what. Those other structures in government that are decentralized, but for purposes of politics. to help the party remain visible.
Yeah.
But the parties, the key issue which brought all this debate is the key of funding. We shall continue living in such divisions, even in the national inter-platform. It may reach a time and someone accuses the current Secretary General, whom I've seen is very hardworking, because we shall not say Bobby Wine will be its president for life. They need to mentor leaders, but they also need to mentor conflict resolution, as they have learned from FDC. Unlike for DP, it was not it began as a conflict resolution after the Norbert Mao won Sevagara in 2010. Nambule, Norbert Mao won Sevagara, and those who are attached to Sevagara, led by the Honorable Betty Nambos and Lukwago, decided to abstain from working with Mao, given they had their own reasons. And part where they fought Mao was pumpkin, and over time it came, maybe their prayer came to pass. But with the key issue of funding, if we need to have post Museveni, I think we need to have this debate more serious. Under Museveni, even if we discussed, it will be for purposes of the day. But we first need, this is why I tell you, we can't underestimate, because to him is what he's implementing. Even if you get solutions today, as well as he keeps his environment so. An environment where people are kept at acting positions in the courts of law, where you people want to go. But to get a promotion, you need to please. When people bring petitions, when people bring what? It means people are still vulnerable. The whole issue here is the authority of the people. As long as the country, most of us don't have the power, and the power has been galvanized by the current administration. Even parties are victims. Is why when we discussed that, we have been seeing FDC as yesterday for the 20 years, like my sister put it. It is not a lie. That was the FDC, because the system at the moment, even as we see NRM as Museveni. So you cannot see NRM as Museveni and for you bring a party. Really, you don't. We need to be honest. Politics, you need to play according to whom you're facing. If you're facing a tree, you go with a tree. But once you go with a kaplant or a matoke, you won't win, you lose. No one is interested in entering with sure you're going. At least you have hope when you at least it is similar. The other one is a big tree, this is a smaller tree. There is hope. So the issue of funding, I think we need to see a way of getting long-term solutions and benchmarking on countries that have had. We have seen a lot of countries, for example, Chama cha Mapinduzi in Tanzania. I was lucky to have reached there. They have had, the parties in Tanzania have addressed the issue of funding. Parties even have invested. That you find the party has an estate, has what? These are money brought from members. Parties have circles. The members don't only come there to do politics, but to build a life. Network marketing. If she was FDC, we would all be wearing her jerseys, Chelsea or whatever, because we need to be her market. That is how a party, she put it clearly that our objectives maybe party was to bring the change. Unfortunately, as the Masai who passed through the academy, we later learned we needed also internally to also have change. That was fundamental. But not also keep the game similarly to the outside game we were playing. So parties, just like she has put it, to address the key issue of funding, I think the party laws and the party dynamics should be taken away from structuring to one thing, power. But capacity building, how do you build the capacity of the nation? And building the nation is the members. The members is the party. So once you have a party that can make maybe its members, just that the current dictatorial space limits association. But if there was more civic environment where there were more association, I think even a party which would be in opposition, members would be more proud of the party than the state they are in. Because a party would be addressing key primary issues where it is more visible. But now, if I'm FDC, I work for the downfall of NRM, I don't want to hide that. I will only keep putting my energies there because that is the system. Nange njagala kulya. I work for that line. I think is where we need to pick interest to address more of the space and the power that parties leave to members and the role that parties should extra play more than only playing one role of Who wins
challenging
the day?
Yeah. Thank you. Soki, when you listen to Masawi, he highlights two key challenges that are facing political parties today, not excluding definitely the party that we are discussing, that is the Forum for Democratic Change. He highlights that there's a presence of a repressive political environment and the aspect of lack of funding. Speak to the issue of corruption, because when you followed the recent FDC saga, what happened, there were allegations made by Nandala Mafabi, and also allegations being made by Semujunganda. Nandala Mafabi in his press conference says that for him, before he came into politics, he used to work for the World Bank. He used to receive 20,000 USDs per month. Semujunganda was he said he was just a journalist with Observer. How much did he used to get? Where did he get all these resources? Speak to the issue of corruption.
Well, if I'm to speak on the issue of corruption, it's here. And not that it's here to stay, but we shall always find ways of, people always want to bribe. People always want to have their way to the top by using the resources that they have. So, if someone has the capacity to buy you off, I'm going to speak in corruption, diverting it stemming from the current government, that Barry Musi made a statement that the current state and the current government believes and accepts the fact that we have other political parties. So, and they are also budgeted for. So the issue of these persons in FDC getting the 7 billion, getting the money, shouldn't make news or shouldn't be considered as a fact that the party is being bribed, or party members are being bribed so that they can weaken. Okay? He made a statement that the current state, in other words, is minding and taking care of what? Other political parties. Of course, from us, the onlookers, us who don't actually believe that.
I have not received my share.
Exactly. So, us, the onlookers would say that, of course, you're bribing the Secretary General, the spokesperson, or this other person to downplay the political party. So that's where we're seeing corruption take its root. That you're giving money to someone so that maybe he wouldn't have this conference take place. Maybe he wouldn't organize party activities that see to it that we're going to come up with these ideas. If the Maasais sit down and say, you know what, I think this is how we're going to remove the dictator, or this is how we're going to see change from the FDC leaders or from the FDC camp. So corruption is playing a key role and a key part through these various bribes. People actually, that's where I was saying corruption in monetizing of politics. I need money to run my race. Okay? The party does not have maybe the necessary funds that will have me reach that position. So why don't I accept to be bought off or accept this token? You know, it's packaged in a certain way that you would not know that corruption is actually taking place. To be someone would come through in maybe in a position of maybe an embassy, an organization, a business owner, just like Amori had stated, that some of our funders or some of our sponsors are powerful business owners and they do not want to be disclosed. That's where you will not find out the very source of our money. So be rest assured that yes, we had the funds, but what is it to you to be concerned and to know the source of my money? Why do you want a name? Yeah.
Thank you. Kalunji, lack of accountability seems to be something that is troubling many institutions in this country. And political parties seem not to be left aside as well. Earlier on in your argument, you talked about individuals, yes, individualism. And what I pick is we see individuals are bigger than the parties. That we have a one Kizza Besigye, when he dropped out of the race in 2021, the support for Patrick Amuriat Oboy dropped drastically. Could that be a possible challenge that political parties are facing, that we focus so much on nurturing individuals who later on become bigger than the party and neglect the seed of imparting ideas?
First and foremost, one of the biggest problems we are having here is that we are talking about political parties, but we have left NRM out, and we are talking about the opposition political parties, the big opposition political parties. That brings the first problem we have in our country. It will show you that these political parties compete for relevance to be the second best. You understand that?
True.
So
NRM has become Uganda.
NRM is now outside of our race. So that becomes the first problem. So if you're to go to deep forces inside FDC, their questions will not be addressing Uganda's needs or how to win the presidential seat. Their issue would be how to unseat NUP. And if you go to NUP's inside sources, their issue will not be removing the dictator. But for you, they will tell you that. Their issue would be, how do we maintain our stake as the biggest opposition political party? That is the first issue. Now, the other issue of listening to, yes, you have corruption, blah, blah, what. Even if NRM had given FDC 7 billion shillings, that is little money. That is $2 million. $2 million. If you follow through the news, you realize that we can wake up in the morning when a certain entity doesn't have accountability of 100 billion shillings. How much money is that? Right? Why does this issue of FDC raise more noise than the other issue, of which that money is constitutional and it's accounted for? Right? So I was talking to some gentleman, though at the forum we're talking to, it was a confidential talk. He was talking about how Parliament operates. For an MP to get into Parliament, the least amount of money they need is 1 billion shillings. The least. Now, what do you use that 1 billion shillings for? Posters, on when you have been in a campaign. You know how much posters cost. Just small posters in 2 buildings, 1 million gone, right? This gentleman has a constituency. That's the first step. The second step, t-shirts, blah, blah. Branding alone can take someone 700 million. Then we go to other things. So politics is expensive. Now, how much does a member of parliament earn when they enter this office? I last heard that they earn about 20 million gross salary.
Approximately 25.
Then special needs 29, 28 actually.
So
Plus
it's not
allowances. So roughly they get around 33, 34.
33, 34. So if you get 33, 34 million.
35 to be honest with them.
Yeah, 30, if they earn 35 million per month and they invested 1.5 billion, how long will it take them to get their money back?
Almost one.
Normally. It will take like 3 years or 2 years to get their money back.
Let's take 2 years.
2 years. Now, and 2 years when they have engaged in other activities. Like, for example, if you belong to a committee that audits, you find a problem, you tell them, hey, give me Chigati, bro. I leave you. Pay me, I leave you. So that's how most of those people make money. So that is the system we are running in. Most of those people, and the reason why most of these people fight so hard to get to accounting committees is because those committees engage directly with the masters of corruption, right? So you engage with this person, you tell them, if you don't want this report out, for us, give us money, we also eat.
Blackmail.
You get, so that's the problem. So the other problem is, there are some, now when you look at the Ministry of Energy, the Ministry of Energy, is it transport? The ministry itself, its budget is like 10 billion, the ministry. But they have entities that work with the ministry that have a budget of 500 billion, right?
Ministry of Transport's current budget is 4.4 trillion.
Their budget is 4.4 trillion.
But people like UNRWA get more money than the ministry. Like
than the ministry. Times. You get. So what is the issue there? It will mean that this minister, this permanent secretary, has to sign some document, but then they will have to give another entity a lot of money. So how do you now get that entity to give it that money? You have to get an entity that will give you something. So if you're to naturally look at the salary structure of these permanent secretaries and you look at their lifestyle, the two do not coordinate, right? So to have accountability in our country, first and foremost, we need a reset. We need an entire reset of the system. That is the concession. We do away with our constitution, we get a new one. We do away with this entire system and we make a better system. That's the only way. Unfortunately, that only way cannot happen in 2 years or 10 years from now. That is the problem.
All right. Peace. We have spoken about the challenges, corruption. We have spoken about we have repressive political environment. We have spoken about the aspect of individualism. Way forward. For us as young people, what do we need to do? Apart from us as young people, what do we need to do? But also as people who are our elders who are in those seats, what are they supposed to do differently?
Okay. I think as young people, we need to take the right kind of interest in governance and policy making in the country. Unfortunately, like Henry said earlier on, the majority of the young people who are interested in civic engagements are only in it for the allowance that comes with it. I'll only attend a conference if you're going to give me a transport refund.
True.
I will only come and do this activism thing if you're going to give me 50K.
Yeah.
I'm only going to do this if I know, okay, at that conference that you have abroad, you're going to secure me transportation to go there. It's what do I get from it?
And
But
it's
if
eating us,
we
yeah.
if we restructured our focus and okay, maybe, and I'm like, okay, maybe I understand a little bit better about Uganda's politics. And I'm like, oh, next time I go to my village, I'm going to collect the young people and talk to them. So that next time someone gives them salt and sugar, they'll probably be like, this is the wrong reason to vote someone. That is a possible way of making change. In a mild manner, it takes time, it takes sacrifice, but it works. We'll be grooming a generation that are interested in the right way in reshaping our country. And then the old people, the people who are already in politics and whatnot, they may not be able to
They are poor examples.
they may not be able to get out of the holes that they have created for themselves, but they can widen it to be a bit comfortable. Like he had already initially said, let them start growing themselves as parties instead of competing with each other. Start up the circles, like you said, invest, have something that interests people in joining your party that will make them better individuals, that will grow them financially, that will empower them in different ways, as opposed to exerting all energy in doing riots and stuff like that and being foot soldiers to remove the dictator, because that seems to be harder than what we had imagined. So if we have political parties that intentionally empower its members, and its members can channel that down to the constituents, to the people down there, we'll have a better community. We'll have a community that cannot be bought by 1,000 or by t-shirts or by contributions of 300,000 at barriers. Would have a community that is focused on growth and development in the right kind of way.
Bought by programs.
Programs, progress, something like that.
Yeah.
And that would make a better country. That's how the government will not be able to control people, because you do not control people who do not need you to give them handouts. You cannot control people who do not need you to facilitate their survival. If political parties can do this, okay, if opposition political parties can do this,
I think even the government should do so.
well, I don't think they're interested in doing that. When they're in power, they're interested in maintaining that power. They have that.
But I think that's the idea.
The reason the
Every
environment
political
is so
party-
is they are never, it is
Because
what
they
are
have
fighting.
to maintain, they have to stay in power. But now I'm speaking for people who do the government may not be interested in doing that because it distracts them from their sole goal of maintaining power. But now I'm speaking to political parties that do not have that one thing to lose. It's not, they don't have it. So they could channel these efforts at looking for democracy and making change into empowering the people. Empower people enough to make the best decisions during election times. Empower people enough to be groomed so that when people approach them with handouts, they know to make the right decisions. It's also building young people. It's well coordinated.
True.
When young people see political parties doing this, they will want to engage in it for the right reason. Eventually, they learn to stop fighting for the national cake and actually fight for national growth. I think from my side, that's what should be done.
Kalunji, you talk about politics. If an MP is running for a race, they spend approximately 1 billion. And it takes them approximately 2 years to recover that. But in truth, they engage in your assertions, in dubious deals that makes them amass wealth. And what I get from that submission is people are running for MPship for purposes of survival and bread. What solutions do we then need? Because it seems in Uganda, politicking happens from the date of elections until the next elections. Instead of us having politicking exactly for that period of 8 months and then service delivery. It seems to be the contrary. Solutions, and speak to that.
So the biggest issue is that the solutions are just an ideal situation. They are an utopia, right? But first of all, to get the best solution to this is to realize that what is the biggest money spender during elections, right? The biggest money spender is pleasing voters. So how do you please these voters? You give them 2,000, you give them sugar, you give them bread, right? Why do you need to give them sugar, bread, what? Because they don't have money. So the solution is to uplift the country. How? Provide viable economic plans. Don't just invest funnily. If you're to build roads, we spend a lot of money building unnecessary roads.
But
you go to a place that
if you
has
have participated in an election in the last 3 years, they have left pleasing voters to rigging. The biggest budget is for rigging. If you please, even if they are pleased, but for you have the money and the advantage to rig.
In certain areas, I've been to areas like the Bukedea sub-region, in Bukedea, those sides of Palisa. They don't rig that side. People vote. They
But we
genuinely
saw
vote
in
for
Bukedea, the
NRM.
LOC5 had 91, yet voter turnout was 80.
Yeah,
I was born in Mbale, so me I've seen of races.
If you're to talk about that, if we're to remove that dictator genuinely, we wouldn't have any single person voting for NRM. But if we still have 5 that can vote, that is the problem. Those 5 are used to justify, right? So now how do we remove these 5? Is we empower them. We invest economically where it works. Instead of spending billions building some roads that can take you 10 years to recover the money from that area, let us put that money in factories. If you go to a factory, people are actually paid little money. These Indians and Chinese, they pay people 5,000 a day. Here in Namava, darling, 5,000. So if at all the government establishes its own industries, it will mean that the money will be remitted back to the people. And it will mean that people will have a better pay.
But that was something that was there in the Obote government.
That's why we had a better society.
He killed it knowing it would be a way of making you lose.
If you're to go to Mbale, even Sironko, you find that the old people there speak better English than the youth. Good English, am I lying?
In Busoga as well.
Yeah, no, it is true. Our grandfather was richer than my dad and all of us.
So what is the issue? The government is not willing to do that because if the citizens are that empowered, they can't affect their system. So the ideal situation is to empower citizens through education and money so that we remove that problem.
But they've empowered you with education, UPE, USC.
It is my why do you think none of us here is a UPE product?
I am, so.
You are.
Genuinely, I am.
Now, who is paying for your fees at Chambogo University?
I got a scholarship.
You see? It's not the government.
All right, with Kalunji, we get what we have to do. We have to empower the citizens economically.
Yes.
It's okay. From Kalunji's submission, I pick by hindsight that apart from economic empowerment, ignorance still looms around our citizenry. And that is something that needs to be worked upon. Speak to that.
Well, ignorance. People are ignorant, some by choice, and some because they lack the opportunities to actually be to get out of being ignorant, the ignorant state.
Deprived.
So I think one, if we want to solve the issue of ignorance, is let's work on mindset change. Second, let's actually have realistic campaigns when it comes to creating awareness. Don't go sampling and pick point. Have a roadmap that at the end of maybe a year, we need to, if from a ratio of 1 to 10, let's have at least 7.5 of the people in a particular state, in a particular district, be brought in the know of the political situation in the country.
Yeah.
We have people in certain districts that vote the manvuli, the umbrella, and to them they do not know. Me, I was told it's the umbrella I should vote for. I was told I should vote for the bus.
They don't know the MP.
They do not know the person. They do not know. Actually, I was among the polling assistants during the 2021 elections. And trust me, the voters aren't that educated.
People just vote.
People just vote. They do not know the kinds of leaders that, yes, you can never know each and every one, but you as a leader also create awareness about who you are, what you're going to serve the people with. We hope to see more result-oriented leaders when we try to have those ignorant people being in the know, educate them. It starts with the basics. We don't need to overly budget. You know, when someone talks of a campaign, an awareness campaign, people start thinking of funds. We need money, yet it starts with social contact, one-to-one. From 1, it spans off from 1 to 3, 1 to 5, 1 to 10. And we're having numbers, we're getting results, and we're actually creating awareness, and we're actually educating people to be better. So I think ignorance can best be handled with actually mindset change, all these various campaigns that create awareness, educating the voters, educating people on what they need to know, who they want, and what will be the outcome.
Thank you. Masawi, the FDC cadre.
Yes, since we are coming to the end, I would thank that as FDC we have been given priority on your panel. Yeah, it is good for growth, but we need to make our growth more intentional, especially as the young people, than accidental. You can really see that where Uganda is democratic, even where we have picked growth, it has been accidental. The leadership style where an MP is now fearing voters is as a result of an environment that came as a result of an accident.
Yeah.
So we need to take interest. The issue, I tell you, vices will always develop. The reason corruption is at its stage, whatever is at its stage, is because it is the current system. It is what supports the breath, is what it's the gas in the system. It survives on that. But given such is a student platform and we inherit the outcomes of what those people have taken, we need to take greater interest in addressing the issues of corruption, issues of multi-party, issues of human rights, because a party is also embarked on human rights. Whatever was at Nadia Nankumbi, human rights activists said it was a movie which was not good in their favor. So we need to address these key issues as we grow as people. But we need to reduce them as low as our education system to family level. And as like I said, parties need to move away from saying members will come to join, but they need to go and join their members. That is what I can conclude.
Thank you. I don't know how much I should say thank you to all of you. You guys have done a tremendous and very impressive job. So maybe as we sum up, I'm going to give each of you 30 seconds. Just sum up, 30 seconds. I'll start with you, Patricia. 30 seconds, your parting shots.
Thank you very much. This has been a wonderful session. I wish ideas like this could reach the common man, the layperson out there, but as it is, this is where we're at. And thank you to all our viewers. Yeah.
Thank you.
What I have to say is there is hope. If we, the young people, have taken keen interest in these pertinent issues of our country, we have hope that in a few years' time to come, we shall be at the forefront of implementing what we desire. Thank you very much.
Lastly, I would like to say that be the change that you want to see, and it starts with you create a positive impact or whatever impact with whatever you do, with whatever activities you engage yourself in. So pride yourself with remarkable work, yeah, and also to all the viewers out there, educate yourself. It's such an individual basis that educate yourself. We're in a social media era. Find out what's the current state, what's the current situation of the politics in our country. Yeah.
Thank you, Masawi.
Yes, thank you, our moderator. Thanks to our viewers. Thanks to Civic Space TV. But basically, I would thank the panel. It has been a very mature panel that discusses more of the solutions than the blame game. It gives a lot of hope, like my brother from UCU has stated, that going forward, at least people you also sit with and feel they have performed better than UMP when it comes to having such discussions. So thank you very much. I wish you a blessed week.
As you have had it done there, these university students who have brought to light the FDC saga and their perspective. And I would say thank you to Peace, thank you to Kalunji, thank you to Soki, and lastly, the FDC cadre, Masawi. It has been interesting, and I've been your host today. Douglas Rekonen is my name. See you again, same time, same place next week. Please do subscribe and watch us. Thank you.